Before we start the video, I just wanted to let everyone know that this video is not going to be just technology focused. I have a couple tools that I want to show off by Dewalt and Klein, as well as some other things that people who do not necessarily appreciate technology as much as I do would like instead, because I target tools and technology at the same time. So this next section where I start the video is going to be about the Toughbook and some other things like that, but there are tools involved, so if you want to just skip to those points, I do have some new like Klein stuff I'm about to show off as well. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the Tech Stop. Today we're going to be catching up on some stuff that has been going on over the past, I'd say month and a half since I've created a last video. I've been really busy at work with everything that I'm doing, and just for the people who don't know, my main 9 to 5, I'm in general IT, I'll leave it at that, just for my company's privacy and my privacy, but I work IT 9 to 5. And then I do freelancing in the evenings, some private clients that I have and some on Field Nation. If you're not familiar with Field Nation, they have an app that is pretty interesting. If you are a datacom technician or IT or an electrician, you can get on Field Nation and take up work orders from very big corporations that need you to work on particular sites in your area. You don't have to travel that much, which is definitely a convenient thing for me. But in order to do these things that I was doing, I needed to get some more equipment that would kind of fit me better, and that's the first object that you see here. I actually acquired this through my work, and this machine is a little bit older. However, it still functions very well for its age. This is a Panasonic Cf-30, and the Toughbook series are just known for being really well built, and the newer ones are a bit thinner, and I don't think can withstand quite as well as a hit as this one right here. But when I was able to get this one for a low price, really, because I had to put some parts into it, it was definitely worth it. So this thing doesn't have too impressive specs because it is an older machine. It is a Core 2 Duo. It has 4 gigs of DDR2 RAM, and it has a 120 gig SSD in it. However, having that SSD kind of supports the Core 2 Duo because everything is loaded much faster than you'd expect. Any machine that was running back in the day on these that did not have an SSD would have been quite a bit slower. As you can see on the outside, the case is in very good shape for what you usually find these Panasonic Toughbooks in. Usually they're beat up in the corners, they've been dropped. But when I found this one, the bottom was still attached to a dock. So the bottom of this machine is still in perfect shape. There's no scratches, nothing on there, because I think that it was just left on a desk for its entire life. And the battery, even though this thing was manufactured in like 2010, 2009, the lithium-ion battery still holds. And I don't know if it's an original battery, but it is a Panasonic legitimate battery. Everything about this machine, works as it should, and keeping screen in frame is going to be a bit of a difficult issue here. So I'm going to go ahead and get a different angle so that you can see it boot up into BIOS. I also wanted to get an angle to where you could see the quality of what the screen is right now. You can see the marks in the screen when the light reflects off of it. And that is basically because this machine was a touchscreen and there was a stylus. So it did get scratched up. However, when that was my first worry, I quickly noticed that once the machine is on, those disappear. So it's just a visual deal when the computer is off. But I really don't care about it because it has a very unique functionality than these days that I'll show you in a minute. And it's not unique as far as most laptops are concerned. A lot of older laptops had this feature, but it's just more important for the field I'm in today. But let's go ahead and boot it up here. I do have the original Panasonic charger as well. Can't remember exactly which. I go straight into Windows here. I unfortunately cannot boot into Windows because I do have some personal stuff on there. So let's see if we can get this thing into BIOS. There it goes. Obviously you could see that the Windows 10 boot manager was loading because it does have Windows 10 Pro 64-bit on here. As you can see here, maybe not very well, but the specs right there. 120 gig SSD, 4 gigs of RAM. It shows available memory as being 3317. Don't know why it shows up like that, because doing mem test and doing in Windows, making sure that all the memory was being utilized, The only thing I can think is graphics. It could be delegating some of that to graphics, but it does show all 4 is registering in Windows and in MemTest. So don't really know. It's probably just a weird thing. This machine has a 57,790 hours as far as runtime goes. It's a nice thing about the Toughbooks, you know how long it is. So it was running for a few years, but these machines go for quite a while, and I believe that this was a desk-used machine. So while it wasn't heavily used. And the machine has a Core 2 Duo L7500 at 1.6 gigahertz in it. Yeah, that's pretty much it with this system right here, except for that one feature I'm going to show you about right now that I use almost every time I take the machine out. So from this angle, you'll see that it has a couple doors on all the sides, and when you open this one right here has an express card slot right here because it's a bit older still, but it has a full-size or normal DVD drive. This is a laptop sized, obviously, but it can be replaced for other drives. So if you wanted to swap it out for a different type of drive, I think they even made Blu-rays or in a hard drive expansion, you could do that right there. It would be pretty easy task. No screws required. Now, the thing on the back. So if you're not familiar with what RS-232 is, or serial, this machine has it, and a lot of older computers and laptops had it, and the COM ports were used to communicate to different devices over like an analog connection versus a digital connection that everything uses now, which is USB. This machine has a serial port on the back, and that's very important for me because when I am managing business switches, I have to use a console cable. A console cable is a very important cable that allows me to manage and set up a business grade switch or other pieces of equipment in the case that the provider for them can't access them remotely. So then I would have to use a 4G LTE hotspot and give them console access to my computer so that they can manage the switch. In the back here, there's just a couple other things. VGA, audio in, out, the dock hookup, 2 more USB ports, another USB port with the cover now gone, the power port, which is just the same connector that Toshiba laptops use, which is Panasonic's own. SD card reader, Ethernet jack, telephone jack, and 1394. I always mix that one up. And this door right here is where the SSD is housed at. This machine is very rugged. It's quite heavy. That's one of the things about it. But in the field, this machine I trust. I know that if I drop it or something, or if I'm putting it in my car, it's going to be safe when I get there. And I have a new SSD in it too, so I'm not worried about that. Everything on it works like a champ. It does exactly what I need it to despite its age. I got some more cool stuff, and it's not just going to be technology. I have some tools and equipment like that. So to change the subject a bit, here are some Dewalt tools. And they're pretty popular, so it's not necessarily a review, just overviewing them. I've had the Dewalt 20 volt max drill over there for a bit, and I've been really happy with it. It is not the hammer drill, and I've been looking around at the Dewalt, the XR stuff, and just the normal 20 volt max brushless, and I've used the XR day in, day out, and I've used this one a few times. And for the price range and what I'm doing, this is the best option for me, really. This one right here does everything that I need, and I have 3 20 volt max batteries now. 2 came with the drill, 1 came with this, and then this was tool only. And this is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a cordless Sawzall, or reciprocating saw, because Sawzall is technically trademarked by Milwaukee, but everybody just refers to them as a Sawzall. And the impact there is probably my most favorite tool out of the set, just because of how versatile and how usable it is. And I've had a couple other impacts. And the one that I had bought previously to this one was the Black & Decker, which I did a small video on, and just to let everyone know, that thing held up very well. I was able to build a very good portion of a fence just on 1 battery on that thing. So I was very impressed with how long it lasts and how much power it was able to do. Despite its bulky size, that is probably the only turn-off for it. This one's a bit more compact. This is a brushless motor inside of here. That one is not a brushless motor. And as far as this one goes, of course, it's brushed because usually the Sawzalls are, and they have little areas where you can access the brushes to change them out. But not too much to go over here. Just wanted to show people this, and I'll be doing all my projects with this guy right here now. It's very nice to have him. The Black & Decker had a little bit lower quality as far as the even this section up here, you actually had to pull the ring back to chuck something up into there as well. And this one just automatically quick connects, clicks in, and you can do your work and just hit the ring and the thing falls out just how it should. So everything about this is fairly nice. So happy with it so far. No complaints. So here is the Klein Tools backpack. I just got this as well recently, and I love the thing. I wanted something that was definitely going to be rugged and could handle what I was throwing at it on sites where I just have to go drop the bag and don't necessarily know what I'm putting it on. And it has a really thick rubber-based or polymer-based bottom, so when you go set it on screws, nails, dirt, things like that, anything just wipes off and the screws don't get stuck in it or pierce through the bag and rip your bag. It has the loop on the side of it to hold tape, which it is not loaded up with right now. It has a couple pockets on each side, a tape measure holder on the right, and I'm just starting to load this thing up really. I'm moving some things over from my other kits, and basically this is going to be used to house all my tools that I need to do my low voltage electrical work. And speaking of that, I actually have a box of cable I'm about to show you as well that I'm very impressed with. I know it's just a box of cable, but for the price of it and where you actually get it from, it's quite impressive. And it has a bunch of pockets inside. The hardcover pouch that's at the top of the case is very strong. And unfortunately my meter won't fit into it, the one that I'm using. I do have the Klein clamp meter in this bag, just because where I'm using it for, the Klein clamp meter is going to do just fine. Most people will prefer the Fluke. However, the price point of it for exactly what I said, what I'm doing just isn't there for me right now. And this one was significantly less expensive. And it pretty much has any tool that I need to do my job. But it also, I got the Craftsman VersaStack 3-pack kit, and I'll see if I can throw a picture up somewhere in this general vicinity of the video. And I keep all my power tools in the bottom. The middle is kind of adaptive to what I need it for. And then I have all my different connectors I need in the top section. So my RJ45, Cat5e, Cat6, my RG59, RG6, RG11. If I need different little keystones and things like that, they're all in there. Cat5e, Cat6 keystones, even RJ11 connectors. So yeah, pretty much anything that I need to do datacom work is connector-wise, it's in there. But I'm not going to show you inside the bag today because I'm still loading it up, and you've pretty much seen all my other Klein tools that I have, so it's just the same stuff in that bag, with slight additions that we'll get to at a later date. So this is the box of cable that I was telling you about. This is 1,000 foot of Cat5e outdoor rated cable, and you've seen a box like this in the channel before possibly. On my camera system video, I purchased a 500 foot box of this stuff, and I was quite impressed with it. Didn't have any issues and seemed like pretty good cable. This box right here is like 62 or 63 bucks for 1,000 foot of outdoor rated cable, and it is not just a single coating. So inside you have a normal coating, which may or may not be plenum based. I believe it's not, because there would be no need for it because it's in another jacket, but it actually looks quite like it. And then you have the outdoor coating, which is a very thick coating, and this stuff is rated for direct burial. And that's exactly what I used it for. I used it about a week ago, I'd say, in a 150 foot pull from a house underground to a like an apartment that's in the rear of the property, and to put in an access point so that they could get internet connection that was more stable out there. And the 500 foot was not that much less at all than the 1,000 foot. So the 1,000 foot was definitely something I needed to do. And I believe they actually didn't even have the 500 foot in stock at that point in time. 62 bucks, 1,000 foot. There's probably, I've used a little bit more than that, so there's probably a solid 800 foot in that box, because I've just made some patch cables and different things out of it. But 800 foot left for different projects that I have, and definitely worth it for the cost. It's on Amazon. I don't know if you can buy it anywhere else, but it's done me well so far. I've had one run that's been out there for like 5 months in direct exposure to the sun and the rain and things like that, not even buried, just because of the type of situations. And it's not rated for that. However, when I did it, I went into it with the mindset that if it gets damaged anyway, then I'm willing to repull it. So it's pretty much the end of that. I just got a couple more things to show you, and then we'll finish up this video. So as far as more technological and IT things are concerned, this one right here is quite impressive, the assortment of things, and I've been very happy with it so far. This flash drive right here It is the Corsair Flash Survivor. It's just a flash drive in a hard aluminum case that is watertight. That is 32 gigs. Back in 2016, I purchased that very drive for something like 35 bucks. It was very expensive. And today, from the Amazon locker, I'm going to go pick up the 128 gig version, and that was only 28 bucks. So prices dropped, and very, very good flash drive to me so far. Everything works on it fine still. I just wanted the bigger one, and that one will be used as like primarily just a small backup general use flash drive at this point. Over to the right is a M.2 enclosure, and this is a precision screwdriver. It's actually a little bit pricey for a precision screwdriver, but it definitely does its job right. So this right here is just a symbolical placement for the 128 that I bought. And the only thing I'd like to say about it is depending on what you'd like to use it for me, I'll be having different folders for all the different software and tools that I use to repair computers, my personal backup, and just so I have things with me. It'll be BitLocker protected, and BitLocker is a good general use for depending on what you're doing. So for businesses it's good, and for personal use it's good, but for anything that you wouldn't want the government to find out about, basically, it is not very good, because Microsoft keeps the recovery keys for BitLocker, and the government can request those from Microsoft if they believe you've broken the law in any way, shape, or form. And not condoning any negative behavior whatsoever, but that's just my standpoint on BitLocker. If you're doing everything how you should, then there's no problem with using BitLocker. It's just another standard form of encryption, and you can make it less secure or more secure depending on how you set it up. So we'll go ahead and move this flash drive out the way, and then we'll talk about the hard drive enclosure first. So they have a 5 gig, 20 gig, 5 gig, 10 gig, 20 gig, and 40 gig ratings for these drives. I've seen the 5, I've not seen the 20 or the 40, and I purchased the 10 gig, which is, I believe, the max for Type-C. However, I could be wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and open this box over here. But basically, this is exactly what I said. It's a Type-C enclosure. So this supports M key plus B key. I haven't opened it yet. I have another one of these actually, so I should have grabbed that one. But basically what this is it acts as a heat sink, the aluminum here. You just take out a couple screws, slide your M2 in there, and this supports, like I said, M plus B key, or M key or just B key for M.2 drives. This is for NVMe as well, so I do have one for SATA, and this is my NVMe enclosure. So that's just an addition, nothing special. 28 bucks on Amazon, so neat tool to have around. And this right here is MSRP of 50 bucks, I believe. 45, 50 bucks on Amazon, and it is just a precision screwdriver. It is called the WOW stick. It's very fancy design in a way. It's supposed to look modern. It has a micro USB connector on the bottom, and then it has lights when you turn it on. It has 3 tubes of pretty much every precision bit that you will ever need. All the Phillips, all the flat. These are hex here. Then in this one you have all the different torque security bits that you'll need. Normal torque. You'll have the, I think there are pentalobes in here, as well as just some random assortments of other things, the triangle connectors and some squares. But as far as the price goes, I don't know if I'd quite pay 50 bucks for this machine right here, but it is definitely a nice one. That's all I'll say. If you can find it for a deal, or if you have a gift card or something like that, and you work on laptops a lot, this definitely save your hand from being tired, because in my profession I'm taking apart several machines a day, probably a solid 50 machines a day, and it gets tiresome if you don't have a precision screwdriver like that. And some days aren't quite 50. They can be 20 machines, but a lot of it is opening machines. I'll just summarize it at that. So yep, nice tool to have if you're willing to spend the money on it, and seems like it would last a long time. Build quality is very good. Thanks for watching the video. Sorry if it was a bit boring or disorganized. I just kind of put this video together very quickly, to be honest, but I wanted to get something out there and let everybody know what I was doing. I'm very busy, in the weeks. I work in the morning, I work in the evenings, so weekends is kind of my only free time, so I like to, spend that time wisely. But these things that I got right here are very impressive to me. I love the impact. The Toughbook is doing very well for me. I haven't had too much usage on the Sawzall yet, precision screwdriver does me well. The backpack I take to all my sites now. It's great to have, and I can just carry it around with me. And I can also carry more because I can put that thing on my back. And the box of cable, like I said, it's just a box of cable. It's good quality. It's just going to be cheaper and fit more uses because you don't use outdoor stuff that much. However, you can use outdoor in different applications. So if I ever need to, then I probably would. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.